New York Sports Machine presents the Shootout with Dr. K.
Finale to Nystrom. He scored! Bob Nystrom scores the goal. The Islanders win the Stanley Cup. Metto behind the net. Swings it in front. He scores! Metto! 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 Beats it on goal. Shoots. The waiting is over, and this one will last a lifetime. 3, 2, 1. One last.
Here's Dr. K.
Yeah, you know, every time I hear that Bates call, I just get goosebumps every time. Anyway, Dr. K in the office taking your house calls. If I had a phone, can't do that, so I'm just going to go on a little bit of a rant for you all as we move closer towards the March 2nd trade deadline in the National Hockey League. Right now, if you look at the standing, it's the Islanders atop the Metropolitan with 82 points. The Rangers 2 points behind them with 3 games in hand. At 80, and the Penguins at 79, and the Capitals at 76. This is all in the Metropolitan, and that division is going to be a lot of fun to watch going down the stretch. All 4 of those teams probably going to make the playoffs. I think the 2 New York teams, have about a 99% chance of making the playoffs. So I'm fairly confident saying that both of those teams are going to the postseason. And as we look forward now, March 2nd, trade deadline, both teams, are looking to improve. Are they going to make any moves? If you were the Rangers, we'll start in Madison Square Garden. There's been rumors now that the Rangers are interested in acquiring Toronto forward Tyler Bozak. And let me be the first to tell you, if you're not fully aware, that would be an awful decision. Just an absolutely awful, awful, awful decision, a debacle of a trade if it's made. The Rangers are up against cap. There's not a whole lot of space for them to maneuver around that cap. They would have to move a roster player to acquire Bozak, who has been underperforming. His talent level just isn't that high. Is overrated because of his spotlight in Toronto, and the fact that he plays with Phil Kessel 100% of the time and still can't put up points. So he is not a good option if you're any team in the league. So I don't know why you would trade assets, and you'd have to trade a roster player. And if that's going to happen, then you'd have to assume that that's it for Matt Zuccarello in the blue and red. If you acquire Tyler Bozak and his cap hit, there's just no way. There's just no way Matt Zuccarello can be signed this summer. And that I'm a big fan of Zuccarello. And the way he plays the game, I think that there's improvements to be made if you're Matt Zuccarello, but alas, I would take Zuccarello over Bozak any day of the week, especially if you have to trade assets to get Bozak and you already have Zuccarello, who's going to be hard enough to fit under the cap this offseason anyway. So and the rumors of the Rangers trading Zuccarello by the deadline, those are silly. There's no reason that a team that's going to contend for a Stanley Cup or a team that wants to contend for the Stanley Cup is going to trade one of their best offensive performers. There's just no need for that. There's no reason for it, and that's silly. It's silly to think about. The other option for the Rangers and thought has been Antoine Vermette out of Arizona. I was about to say Phoenix. But again, it's hard for the Rangers, who are going to have to try and fit it under their cap. And now the market's been set because we've seen players like Daniel Winnick get traded, Sean Bergenheim get traded, Andrej Sekera went to Los Angeles yesterday. So you've seen the market kind of set itself now. You've seen what players are going for. Sekera goes for a first-round pick and a prospect. Winnick for a second, a fourth, and a kind of a throwaway garbage piece in Zach Sill. No offense, Zach, but you're not an effective National Hockey League player. Anyway, so the market's being set. So Antoine Vermette is going to at least cost you a first-round pick. I mean, that's the market that you've set. Mahalik out in Phoenix as well. Phoenix, there I go. Mahalik out in Arizona as well. Another trade target for many NHL teams, but he's got a concussion now, so concussion issue, maybe concussion recovery problem. So we'll see what ends up with Phoenix, who is looking to make some moves. I mean, they're out of it. They have the chance now to drop down into the 3-2-1 draft hole and hopefully come up with a McDavid or an Eichel on draft day. So Phoenix is looking to sell and teams are looking to buy. So for them, it's the time to do so. But everybody is hurt right now for them. And then, so if you're the Rangers, Vermette obviously is an option, but again, going to be hard to fit him in, especially because he's going to cost a first-round pick, and that doesn't take any salary off. So you're going to have to give up some salary too. But then it becomes a question: is he worth a first-round pick and a salary dump? It's I don't know. If I'm the Rangers, I think I missed out on my player, and that was Daniel Winnick. I think he was the one that you wanted. I think it didn't cost a ton, and he would have fit in nicely in that middle six for the Rangers. Bottom six, actually, I should say, for the Rangers. He would have fit in nicely, especially on the penalty kill too. So I think if you're the Rangers, you've missed out on your player. So now, as Winnick is in Pittsburgh now, so both the Islanders and the Rangers are going to have to face him a lot more. I think, again, if you're the Rangers, I think you missed out. I think now it's about depth acquisitions, if you can do so. But obviously every team is looking to acquire depth as we get towards the deadline. If you look now at the Islanders, and we'll start with the acquisition. I'm gonna name it an acquisition. Traded for in the offseason, just a few weeks before the season started. Nick Leddy signs a 7-year deal worth $5.5 per. Just an incredible deal. Nick Leddy, 23 years old. They locked up four of his UFA years, which were going to run them a lot more than $5.5 million if he continues to play at this rate and continues to progress his career at this rate. He's an offensive-minded defenseman who can put up points. He's very, very good at that first pass out of the defensive zone. Smooth on his skates. Good on the power play, can definitely play penalty kill. He's fast, he's strong, he's able to shoot. He's a defenseman that you're going to want for a long time, especially at 23 and at $5.5 per. You put that alongside Travis Hamonic, Calvin DeHaan, who's going to be here for a while. I mean, the Islander defense core, which looked extremely questionable last season, is now looking as it's one of their strong suits moving forward. Now the question remains, is Johnny Boychuk the next to come along, and is he the next one to sign? He's going to cost more than $5.5 per because he's an unrestricted free agent. He can hit the market this summer, so he's going to cost more than that. How much more than that is a good question. I wouldn't go any higher than 5.8, maybe 6 tops. And then it depends on length. He's 31 years old, so how long do you want to pay an aging defenseman? But again, he is Johnny Rocket. He's got that bomb. Definitely provided some offensive pop from the blue line for the Islanders. Definitely provided that strong defensive presence for New York as well. So is Johnny Boychuk next to come along? Islander fans, myself included, hope so. But again, I don't think he's the end-all, be-all, folks. I don't think he's if he walks in the offseason, I don't think that's the end of days. I plenty of other defensemen out there who can do what he does, and probably a little bit younger too. So I don't think he's the end-all, be-all, but he does fit in nicely here. He does play with Nick Leddy. He plays very well with Nick Leddy, so it'd be nice to see him stick around for a little bit. Islanders at the trade deadline, nothing. Don't even think about it. There's nothing to do. There's no reason to do it. You made your moves. If you could have acquired Johnny Boychuk and Nick Leddy in the offseason, or acquired Johnny Boychuk and Nick Leddy if you're fighting for a playoff spot on deadline day, I pick it in the offseason. And that's what they did. Garth Snow has set up the season so he doesn't have to make any moves at the deadline. This is his team. He's given up his assets. He's made his moves. This is what he's going forth with. And there's no problem with that. There's not even a little bit as they start to get healthy. You got to remember, Kyle Okposo coming back mid-March. Casey Cizikas is going to get healthy. Guys who are missing some time here. Mikhail Grabovski, who's out, again with a concussion. Second one of the year, which is kind of scary. But when you think about it, Okposo, Grabovski, Cizikas all need to come back. The Islanders still have not iced their top 12 forwards this season. So there's no reason to freak out here. Yes, if you can improve and a deal falls in your lap, go for it. You don't have your first-round pick, mind you. Remember that. That went in the Vanek trade last year. So assets are low. You've made your acquisitions. There's no reason to force it. You can be all in without throwing your chips at the other players. You're all in. You're competing for a Stanley Cup. There's no need to go crazy. Go crazy